I have with me none other than Breonna Vereen, the owner and founder of Imani Cowrie. And this episode is really, really special and near and dear to me because I have watched this brand blossom and grow to be amazing and phenomenal. And so I'm super, super excited about what we're going to learn today from Brianna and all her journey to be where she is. And I cannot wait to get into the thought process behind these amazing, amazing earrings and your jewelry. So, Brianna, no, can you come on and just tell us about yourself and your brand?
Yes, thank you so much, first of all, Shanae, for having me. I'm honored, and I'm Breonna Vereen. I am the relentless entrepreneur behind Imani Cowrie Jewelry Collection. It is a 3D printed statement jewelry collection for women who love big earrings but hate stretched earlobes. So we
Right.
create unique pieces that challenge the perspective of what jewelry should and should not be.
I love it. I love it. I will say, I think that's like kind of the thing. I remember growing up with my mom. And this is back in like the 90s where big earrings were like super popular, and it had like the ones that had the big stud. It also has the hanging part, like all the things. And my mom's earlobes, by the end of it all, her earlobes were stretched and split.
Yeah.
So it's so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Just like we love a good statement, but sometimes in statements they can do some damage. So these earrings are super, super light and just I mean, I literally don't even feel them on my ears. So that's amazing that you've been able to create something that can solve a problem but be very, 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 very stylish and cute. The ones that I have on, as you can see, one side is black, the other side is white. Super cute. I love fashion. You guys know I love fashion and putting on different things. I love unique pieces. That's part of my brand as the Pink Elephant. It's just all about finding something that works for you and owning that and being everything about it. Okay. So I'm in love with these because I feel like they're so different and I get so many questions about them all the time. So love, love, love. So let's jump in. Let's jump in. So you told us the name of your brand, and I want to know, like, how did you come up with the name of the brand? And also, how, like, what does it mean to you? What does Imani Cowrie mean to you? Just give us some insight behind the name and your brand.
Yeah, so honestly, I feel like the name was downloaded into me. And it's funny how life happens, but I started making jewelry, probably made the first pair in elementary school just for myself, and I made earrings out of cowrie shells. At the time, my grandma used to put cowrie shells, you've probably seen them, right? The cowrie shells
Mm-hmm.
in their locks. She had locks, and I loved how she would put it in my braids over the summer. And so my first pair of earrings naturally were those, and I made like a long pair because I wanted, of course, the big earrings. I always had that interest in. Um, then when I got in high school, I remember making the shell, and then someone actually saying, "I want a pair." And I at the time, I honestly cannot tell you how I got the name Imani at the time. I knew it meant faith, and it sounded good, and I was like Imani Cowrie. And then I would go into college and I took Swahili.
Oh, okay.
Swahili. And again, like I said, I just like the word. I always said I would name my daughter that, and I didn't. But I just the name, and that's how I put the two together. But it's funny I say that it was downloaded into me because I feel like throughout my entrepreneurial journey, I have to lean back on that word, and I'm like, all right, how you gonna name your whole business after faith
Yeah.
and not faith? So it's the name has encouraged me more. It was meant to be, but yeah, I go with Imani Cowrie. Imani means faith, and we're faith filled. That's what leads us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I stuck with.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And you're teaching me something too, just the meaning of Imani. I've always loved the name Imani. Never knew it meant faith.
Mhm.
So that's extra, extra special. And then the cowrie shells. And so what I'll do is I'll show you guys a picture of a cowrie shell just so you can know what a cowrie shell looks like. And then you're able to put the two together and reference it. I'm sure most of us have seen them, but we may not have known that they were called cowrie shells. And I know I didn't learn about them being called that until recently. So I think that's amazing. I love what you said about being able to tie in the belief of faith into your brand and how that reminder helps to almost anchor you to why you started it. Because a lot of times we start brands and we want to start a business and it's not easy. It's not easy. It gets difficult. Sometimes along the road you have to revamp. Sometimes you might have to pivot, and it can be very difficult. But if you remember why you started something, and if you remember what it takes, which is faith, 100% faith, then it helps you to move forward. So I think that is so amazing, and right on point. So let's talk about your brand's mission. All
Yeah.
right. So what would you say is your brand's mission? I know you kind of touched on it before, but I want to highlight that.
Yeah, to make women feel seen, valued, and empowered. And that's like really what we stand on. So like if we're pushing out some content, if we're involved in something, it has to fit that. Like that is encompassing everything that we do. So we feature women in our newsletters. When I used to go live, we were talking about that briefly beforehand. It was all, women. I have shared a male recently, but the whole he's a stylist. But the whole goal of it is to make women feel seen, valued, and empowered. So we're sharing style tips, ways to boost your confidence, prepare better, and just overall empowerment. So
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so cohesive to what we do here, as a pink elephant. It's all about how can women show up as themselves, like, and be empowered to be exactly who you are, authentic to you, take up space in this world. And I think sometimes because that we can do that in many areas of our lives, but fashion is a place for me where I feel like I can express myself and be exactly who I am. A lot of times we as women, we've kind of been shunned for being able to express ourselves through our
mhm.
fashion, through our makeup, through our earrings, because it's so many criticisms along the way, whether it be religion, whether it be the way you grew up, whether it be culture, whether it be where you live geographically, you may not have been able to express yourself. And I love the fact that your brand's mission is allowing women to embrace those things, be empowered, feel seen, feel valued, those things, and have purpose. So I
And
think
then
that,
transitions too, like we evolve, becoming a mom, um,
yeah,
just leaving the military, becoming a mom, leaving a relationship, you name it, those different things have a toll on you, and also the way you present yourself. And so I think the brand has evolved, whether like in high school I was just, making the earrings to be cute, but then it's become more of like a activism, like how do I want to represent myself, like how do I want to stand out, so yeah.
yeah. I think that's amazing too. I like what you said about the evolution because, as a woman, you go through so many different changes, so many things happen, and you wear so many hats. And to be able to navigate every area of your life as the seasons change, how do we change, we evolve. And I just think it's important to give yourself the grace and the space to be able to evolve without feeling like you have to fit into a mold, because we're not meant to fit into any type of mold. So like, I love that you said, talked about evolution and the evolution of your brand to be able to go along with what you truly feel and believe for your own life. So that's amazing. So we talked about, you creating earrings in high school, which is amazing. I want to say I did a little bit of creativity and made some earrings, but mine was like the bead set. You know what I mean? The kind you get from.
These, don't get me wrong, I was not making 3D printed in high school. I did not know what a 3D printer was until like 2013.
Okay. Okay.
It was feathers, and then when I got to college, I was even printing things. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I actually got some airtime on 106 in Park. I
No.
Yeah, so at the time in college, I was printing random things like I would print like I don't know, we were into polo back then, so I would get like a polo tag and put it on an earring, or like I did like the rated R symbol when Rihanna had her album. I laminated it and made it an earring, and so we were going to 106 in Park. So I was in DC, and my friends, it was spring break, and they were like, let's go to New York. And at the time, we could catch like the mega bus or something called the China
Mhm,
bus. That's a whole nother story for $1.
mhm,
New York,
mhm.
and we got to go on 106 in Park, and I said, I bet you I'm gonna get us some airtime. So I made some 106 in Park earrings. I got
Yes.
us some airtime. I wish at the time, I knew something about business, so I could have like went from here to there. But it's just, you mentioned like just making the earrings. I was just making what I had around me.
Well,
And
don't you think is just a question for you. How do you feel like if we really take a step back and things, if we look at how things come full circle, right? Because at the time, did you know that that's what you were going to be doing as a business?
no, no, not at all. I just like to do it, made a little extra money for college, and yeah,
Yeah.
I was afraid to think that it could be
Mm.
my my career.
Now, let me ask you why. Why were you afraid? What was that thought process?
I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it. I've seen business owners. I have an aunt who's very big and Mary Kay. I adore her and just like how she is just an assertive lady, and I always admired that she had her goals on the board. Seeing her truly, I think, helped me with the business. But I had never seen makers, like people who made stuff. And that's always been my thing. But I just didn't have, I didn't see it. And at the time, in college, I was in ROTC, so I knew I was going to the military, so it was like that. And I knew I wanted to be in business, but I didn't know how. I knew it was going to be something business.
Mm.
I love it. I love the inner workings of business too. I love, not just making, but just I don't know all the nitty gritty type things. I love learning about it and seeing how people do it. So, and I don't know. We might get into it later in the interview, but it took a lot for me to fully get in here. But it's funny because God will always he'll reel you back.
Don't he? Every single time. Because the thing is, sometimes we run from what we know is our thing.
Hmm.
Sometimes God, like you said, when you said that it was downloaded into you, my thought process is like that was your passion and purpose right then and there
Hmm.
on you. And then we kind of deviate from those things for whatever reason because we have a one track mind. We already have a plan in mind. I'm going to the military. And then God will be like, come on back. Come on over here where you're supposed to be. And he brings you right back to where you're supposed to be, centered in on your passion, your purpose, and what you were made to do. And so I just think it's like, I love to ask people about their journey and their thought process because 9 times out of 10, most of us don't like start and do exactly what we know we're supposed to do right away. It takes time to get back to where we're supposed to be. So I think that's just something that I think is powerful. And also, I took a mega bus it was a China bus to New York before, and it was a long trip. It was
You
from
knew it.
Charlotte to New York.
Did you have to go meet in a dark alley?
Yes, it was it was like a abandoned parking lot, and it
Okay.
was just so crazy. It was
Yeah.
just, but we did it. Me and my friend from high school, we did
Yeah.
it. So
Okay.
okay, but yeah, so that's hilarious. So okay, so when did you come up with the idea to actually create the 3D printed earrings, and how did you come about that? Like, how did you get to that?
Yeah, so I'll probably send you a picture so you can add to the video after this of the that concept. But so how it started was in high school. Like I said, I was making beaded jewelry, and I was
Mhm.
making it so much. I was doing it really. I got pretty big around campus doing shows and fashion shows. And I was in a few stores in DC, so that was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like Howard and just being in DC, honestly, was just a whole experience for me. Being from Jacksonville, going up north, it was a whole vibe. But I had this idea for this earring that I like dreamed about, and I couldn't figure out how to make it with the beads. And also at the time, I was running into an issue with my hands; they were cramping up. I didn't know till later that it was carpal tunnel. Just make it so much. Also, I wasn't pricing my jewelry right, so they were super cheap, and the demand, and so I'm putting all this extra strain on my hand. Yeah,
Right.
and someone told me about oh, rewind. I was really big into Craigslist.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, back then I don't know, I
Yep.
can't test for it now, but it was not sketchy. It was the thing. I had got
Mhm.
jobs and all kind of things off of Craigslist. All right, and I saw that you could make a post to ask for help. And I asked someone for a prototype. Keep in mind, I didn't really know what a prototype mean. I was a marketing major. I wasn't like a
Wow.
person. I was just like, I like Craigslist. I use it. I trust it. I'm gonna see if somebody can help me make a prototype for an idea I had. And this guy responded and said yes. I sent him a picture that I draw. I'm not an artist. I drew a sketch, and he sent me back a prototype that was injection molded. I didn't know what injection molded meant, but he basically he injection molded it, and he brought my idea to life. It was a heavy earring, but it was perfect. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna make it. This was pre Shark Tank, and I was just like, this is it. This is this.
Yeah.
But they were heavy, okay. And I asked them, I said, okay, great, perfect. Can you make me 1,000 more? We're going to be rich. He said, no. He said, look into 3D printing. I'm like, what's 3D printing? It's like 2013. And I remember we were going to spring break soon, and I had like all my friends model my heavy earrings, but they were perfect. The shape, everything was cute. At the time, I wasn't into like problem, solution, pain point. I wasn't thinking all of that stuff. I was just like, pretty earrings, this works. And the guy shut me down. He was like, looking at 3D printing. So the year later was my senior year. I'm getting ready to go to the military. I'm looking at 3D printers, and they're like over tens of thousands of dollars. And
Wow.
I'm college senior. That wasn't in my budget. So I'm thinking, man, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to happen. I'll just keep making my beaded jewelry. But I got into the military, and I ended up finding out, well, I ended up utilizing YouTube. So I learned about 3D printing on YouTube. And I think I took a course or two on Coursera about like designing, which was still a huge learning curve because, again, I was a marketing major. So I had the ideas. The technical piece was not so much. So I just kept trying, teaching myself how to design. I actually bought a printer. Probably didn't buy the best printer because it came straight from Japan. The instructions were in Japanese. It was very horrible to figure out how to put that together, but I put it together. The quality ended up being like where I wanted it. But I kept at it, kept trying, and then I would say over those 4 years, 3D printing completely evolved. There were more access to the different colors, which the filament, and I'll show you what filament actually looks like where I get the colors. More stuff on YouTube, and I ended up getting another printer. This will be years later. A kit. It was cheaper to get a kit and actually build it. And I built this printer, and I was able to join a community of people that use this stuff so that I could learn like how to tinker different things, and like if I needed help, they have Facebook groups for these things now, and it wasn't always.
Right.
So it's come a long way. A lot of times where I just was like, no, Lord. And it was funny when you asked about how did I get into 3D printing, because even when I left the military, like I had tested the playing ground at my last base. I went to like a market and sold some earrings, the beaded ones, keep in mind. And I still was like, nah, I don't know. But all throughout my time in the military, people who had purchased earrings before would like hit me up and be like, when are you gonna make earrings again? When are you gonna make earrings again? So it was like
Mhm.
in my head, and it was like I couldn't get it out. But I got into a program for veteran women who want to go into business. And it was a conference, and we did a whole 4 weeks leading up to this conference, and we're supposed to go to the conference and like talk about our businesses and get help and all this pro bono stuff. It was amazing. I went to the conference and said I was doing stationery. I want to start a stationery line. Don't have
Wow.
nothing. I had no drawings. I like when people send me cards, okay? Postcards.
Right.
I love it. And I was just like, why not start a stationery line? And it was cool. Nobody really paid me any attention at that conference until the very last day when I showed a girl a picture of my earrings. And she was like, oh my God. And she called all these other girls, and then the instructors were looking at it. Girl, nobody cared about who I was until I showed that earring. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I literally wasted this whole time for this conference because I could have been working on my business, but
Yeah.
it was just like I had to look back at all of my everything that I've been doing. And I was just like, man, how many times I feel like God was like, how many times do I have to
Right.
tell you?
Right.
And when I tell you things have fallen into place, I'm not exactly where I want to be yet, but I'm covered, like things have been
Mhm.
I'm a single mom, like it's not easy, but he has provided for me every step of the way. And I'm just like, just trying to be obedient and do that, that thing. And I'm like, as much as I want to jump to something else, cause I'm like, oh man, this will be easier. This will be quicker. It's like, he's giving me something. And it's just like, I have to see it through and focus on
Yeah.
it. It's just like it's a deeper thing for me. But yeah, it's really crazy. It's a roundabout way, but I know that it's from him because, like I said, I'm not a technical person. Half the time when I talk to other 3D printer people, we talk in different languages. We're
Mm.
speaking. It's a
Yeah.
I'm like, why would he give me, But I think it's because he gives you things that don't make sense so that you can point it back to him because it's not me.
Right. That is
Uh,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so I mean, because I could spend forever talking to you because and I feel like I think So even me, right? Like I'm a person where when you look at someone and you see where they are, you're in amazement and it's like, wow, they're there. But everybody has a story and a journey to how they got to where they are. And the thing that I heard you say the most that really resonated with me is like you kept going. Because one thing about it is like as a business or an entrepreneur, you got to be willing to do the research, do the work, ask questions, humble yourself, put
Yeah.
yourself out there. Don't worry about being embarrassed. It's like so many things that go into like being able to get to the next level. And a lot of times we want to skip that part. And,
Yeah.
and even for me, I think about my business and my brand and even just the start of it. I don't have anything in line. Like I don't know anybody that, has a podcast. I don't know anybody who's on TV. I don't know anybody who's, in this place where they're able to encourage and motivate and get women together or help them be their best selves. So sometimes we're building the blueprint ourselves.
Yeah.
And that can be very difficult because you don't really know where, like, nothing is, you're figuring it out and it's literally figuring it out as you go. One of the things that I wanted to kind of go back to was, so when you were at the conference and you showed them the earrings, is that when they gave you advice on like, okay, you need to do this? Or like, how did that propel you to like the next thing?
Yeah, I definitely think that that conference was amazing for me. I went to, I want to say, two conferences that year. I still remember like pumping in between like presentations,
Yeah. Oh.
trying to get the information, trying to figure out how to be a mom, all the things. But I learned a lot. It was more so like foundational things. When I think back, like structuring your LLC, making sure you have an LLC or whatever business structure that you're going to have. Things like trademark and stuff, and a lot of those things I would go on to learn more in depth later, and then also talking to other entrepreneurs. But I do think it's important to take advantage of those classes, and whether or not, even if you don't go to a conference, utilize your local SBA, small business development centers. They have them in cities. They're free. Take advantage. There's people there. And I mean, just don't be afraid to do the work because they're going to give you homework. Picture it as like a coach or a mentor. And if you don't get a good coach, try to get a new one. It's like, finding a therapist, find somebody who works for you. And then if your city doesn't have it, I believe you can do it online as well. It can be virtual. But I do think those things were helpful for me in the beginning. But I do want to say, it's important to me that I say, you can go on a education overload too.
Mm.
So what I did was I got out, like I said, because I had already had a business in college, right? And I've been making jewelry for a while now. I never had an LLC. I was never legit legal
Mm-hmm.
until I got out. And then when I got out, I made this LLC, but my earrings weren't ready. I didn't start selling the earrings. So I had an LLC for a year and a half before I even started my website. Okay, cool. It looks cool. I have an LLC. And this might work for some people because you may want to start pitching, in some situations. But I would say sometimes it's okay to slow down, get your stuff together, and act on what you've learned first before you move to the next step. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was just like taking all the classes, listening to all the gurus, listening to all the videos, and then stuck. So I'm like, well, so much I got to do. But I
Right.
work on one thing at a time. And then as you work on one thing at a time, it'll build. You'll be able to do two things at a time, three things at a time. But you got to stop. And like, I'm like telling myself, I'm not reading another book until I execute what that last book told me. But if you
Whew.
know your business like that, then that'll help you because otherwise it's overwhelming. And
It's
they're
so overwhelming.
so loud. It's so
Oh
loud.
my gosh. Okay, let me ask you because now this is some really good stuff. Even this is for me, y'all. Okay, this is for me. Okay, she don't know it, but this is for me. Because okay, going back to what you said about the overload, I feel like that even happens when you talk to too many people who. Because the thing about it is, everybody has advice, and when you start doing something, sometimes everybody wants to tell you what you should be doing, or you need to do it like this. And
Yeah.
sometimes those people don't have any idea and they're not even in the business and they haven't had a successful business. But everybody wants to sometimes attach themselves to your vision. And if you're not careful, it clouds your vision and it clouds your ideas. And now again, you're pulled in this direction. They said that you should be started make cupcakes to go with the earrings. Now you making cupcakes to go with the earrings. And why
Right.
are we making cupcakes,
For a
you
while.
know? And so it's like that, the balance of taking advice but then also kind of going and sticking to your gut, your instincts, your intuition. And I found that to be very difficult too,
Yeah.
especially what it sounds like with you. You are creative, so when you're creative, the ideas can flow.
They
Okay, they can flow. How did you focus in, like, and again, this might be a question for me, but how did you focus in on like the one thing? Because I feel like for some of us, and it's very difficult to find that one area to perfect and make great. Like, how did you find the one thing? So I know, like, where did you start with your jewelry once you figured out you were going to do 3D printing?
Yeah, honestly, it's still a journey. I still have that problem. Like you said, I have ideas for days. I have probably more notes in my phone than most people. I'm sure I can break a record, and
Yeah.
I've been getting better at brain dumping. But I mean, honestly, the proof is there. Look at the people who are at the top. They mastered one thing. You know, so it's just like, who am I to try? But yeah, and it's funny because what happened, I over the pandemic I started what was it, I was having issue with getting some of my filaments and some of my materials that forced me to focus on just the hoops. And I
Hmm.
had to put the Kazo collection to the side, which was my unique shape that looks like an S. It had the
Oh
front.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And that ended up being the best thing. I was just like, what am I gonna do? I don't have options for people. Girl, no, the people don't want options. They don't. That's the last thing they want at the end of a work week,
Mm.
is to have to decide something else. People are suffering from decision fatigue. So I think
Mm.
I'm one of those hard, tough learners. I wish I could say I wasn't, but I had to learn the hard way. It was just like, honestly, just being out of materials, and I had to show up to a market with what I had, and I ended up doing my best numbers because I had less. And I was just like, huh, there's something to this. And that's not to say like if you have a lot of options that it won't work, but there is something to niching down. So I think
Mm.
nothing's wrong with taking one thing and doubling down on it. And then if it doesn't work, move to the next thing. You've proved it to yourself. But when you're trying to like do all the things, you're spread thin and nothing goes anywhere. But yeah.
Oh man, and it sounds like it, because that was one of the things I struggled with. I think I got mad when I started, watching so many like videos and in the advice about you need to find a niche. And I'm like, why do I have to have a niche? Like, I just want to do this. I just want to do that. Like, niche. I'm not a person of a niche. And it's so difficult because when you are creative and you are skilled in various areas,
Mhm.
it can be very difficult to really focus in on that one sweet spot. And so what I've been hearing, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation because it's confirmation for me. My thing this year is about focus,
Yeah.
getting focused, and really just don't worry about the distractions. Do the creative dump, like your brain dump, all the ideas, let them flow, but still remain focused on that one area, so that you can learn and perfect that. So to your point, sometimes less is more when
Yeah.
you don't have a choice that pushes you to improvise, and that could be the best thing that you could ever do.
Hmm.
So I really think that's something that is so amazing to be able to offer to the audience, that you don't have to have everything together, and you don't. To your point, one of the good things I heard was your audience don't want you to give them, they don't want you to make cupcakes, they don't want you to make earrings, they just want you to do that one thing,
Yeah. Hmm.
and that's what it will be. So
Hmm.
speaking of which, we talking about audience, right? Because I think a lot of us get discouraged when we want to cater to everyone.
Yeah.
How did you figure out who your brand was for? Or did you market to all women? Like, how did you become comfortable with understanding that your audience is your audience? And when did you realize that? And what I mean by that is, for instance, and in what I do, obviously I'm doing a lot of talking, I'm doing a lot of sharing on my platform. So people are naturally either going to be like me or don't like me. So I mean, but in the same sense of your product, some
Hmm.
people might like it, some people might not. But how do you become comfortable with understanding that your audience is yours, your customer is yours, and how did you get to the space of being comfortable with that?
Yeah. I think sometimes it can still be a journey, you know. But you learn, you get real tough skin, and you when I always go back to like, this is bigger than me, you know.
Mm.
Didn't give me this gift for anything. So I'm putting it out. But I'm also taking note. So I'm going to the markets, I'm having conversations with people, I'm seeing what they like. I launched these bracelets last year. I call them bangilis. They're bangles.
Yeah.
And it's because customers constantly ask me. And I'm like, okay, instead of just creating something, what are the people who are actually buying from me telling me?
Mhm.
Not the people who are not buying from me, right? Um,
Right.
but then also doing deep dives, the people who are leaving the reviews, the people who are commenting and engaging, showing up to my shows, and they really believe. Sometimes you'll have people who believe in your stuff more than you.
Mm.
It's like, wow. Because I believe, like I said, started making these earrings for myself. And then sometimes it's like, how dare you think the world is gonna wear it? Like then you see these people that they attach themselves to your brand, and it just uplifts you, and it's just like, wow. Because they you know what I mean? Like they validate it. But you listen to those people. I know you were saying earlier, like there's so many people talking to you, but you
Yeah.
have like zoom in and decipher your wise counsel. Like I have friends that I may not talk to about problems with my child. I know I'm gonna
Mhm.
go to this mom friend,
Yep. Yep.
but she has wisdom and I can see her kids
Yep.
the fruit of that. So the same with the businesses. I'm looking at the business. I can look at their fruit and see, and those are the people I want to have this particular conversation with, or or maybe it's the customer. Like I know this customer is going to be honest with me and tell me if the product isn't good. I'm going to double down on that and like see how I can improve it in that way. And then also with products, it's really cool because sometimes with different product lines, you have different customers. You may get lucky and have a customer that transcends and they like all of it. But
Mhm.
sometimes you double down on like, okay, this particular collection is for this customer. So it's constantly researching and kind of not forcing who you think your customer is. Cause I had to learn that the hard way. I'm like, okay, I have this person in mind who may or may not be my alter ego.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But my real customer is this, and this is what they need. Maybe they need confidence. Maybe they need more style tips. Maybe they need, I don't know, you name it. But like, I have to meet them where they are. So it's humbling myself to not. I'm making the product, yes, but to ask those questions. So I think for me, I learned best being at the markets and having those conversations, following up in the emails, even in the DMs. And some of these people I've never met or we've become friends online. I'm on their pages. I see when their kids have birthdays, and stuff like that. And it's just, you learn a lot about those people, but take it back to your business and say, how can I do? Because I mean, at the end of the day, what we all should be striving for is to deliver value. So
Right.
then, what these people are going through, how can we make it a little bit better? So I
I
hope
love
that.
that. Oh no, that was perfect. That was perfect because I think, I mean, it's such a good tip, because like you said, I think we have when we have a vision for our business, sometimes we extend that to who the person is. And sometimes you really don't know until you launch and you really start discovering, like you said, over time, the research will show you exactly who your customer is, as opposed to in your mind, my customer lives in New York and she doesn't have any kids. She travels for work. Like, is she really, is she really? And, so you kind of, you almost do yourself a disservice by putting a pigeonhole on the people that you're going to impact or influence, when in all actuality, it's not that woman that's looking at you. It's the woman who is a stay-at-home mom, and she wants to find her style. She wants to put on some earrings when she goes out, or she wants to figure out how to be the best version of herself, find time for her massage. So let's talk Essence Festival.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk Essence. Okay. Because like, I haven't been before, right? Like, I've never been to Essence Festival. It's definitely on my list of things to do. However, when I think of Essence Festival, I think about women, Black
Yeah.
women, a sea of us, just like the energy of us being in the same space. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about just the people you'll meet, and just, I mean, such a big deal. Okay, such a huge deal. Hmm?
Interject real quick.
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought too, right? And you're not
Hmm.
wrong. But I just want to say that the men are out there too.
Are they?
They are.
Okay. Well, I guess men go where the women are too. So
Yeah. That's where you want to be that weekend. Like it's beautiful. Like,
okay.
yeah.
So y'all hear that, ladies, because I have a lot of single audience members. So if you are trying to have a good time and maybe position yourself to be where you need to be.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Mm, okay, so that's good to know. I'm glad you told us that. So I'm going to definitely be mentioning that
Hmm.
um, as time comes up. But I also wanted to say too. So just in the sense of Essence Festival, right? Like I I remember when Essence Festival first came out, and all the celebrities are there. I think it was Girls Trip where they went to Essence.
Oh yeah.
No, that was New Orleans. Yeah, was that
Hmm.
Essence Festival?
It was for Essence Fest. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And just like all the things. So first I want you to tell us how did you end up going to Essence Festival? And then also what was the experience like when you got there? Yeah. So tell us about that. Tell us about the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Essence was a dream. So last year's 2023. So 2022 would have been my first year going. I actually went with Simply Kese. She's a boutique here in Jacksonville, and she takes a bunch of vendors and she does a pop up at a local hotel. So that was my first chance to go to New Orleans, kind of like scope it out, see what Essence was like, and just attend as a. I was still fairly new business, and I was just trying to get my feet wet to see what I would need, how much inventory and different things. And that was such a good experience. She treated the vendors so well, and the people were just amazing. So then, fast forward to last year, I applied to actually be in the convention center. That's where everybody goes. It's open for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's where the celebrities pop up. They
Right.
speak. Who's who in Black culture is there. Everybody's there. All the big influencers, all the brands. So I applied for that, and offline I'll have to tell you about that
Okay.
journey. That was an experience. I actually didn't find out that I got accepted for 2 weeks prior to actual Essence happening. Keep in mind, Essence is the biggest, I think, per capita per day festival in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
We don't wish that on anybody. However, I told you already, faith is in my name. So when I
That's
applied
right.
in March, I started making my jewelry,
That's
and
good. Ooh.
it was literally faith. But I got there, I made it. I had a friend that I actually met on Instagram, and we had met the year prior for the first time. And she has a business, and we said we're going to do it together. So we did the pop up that year, and we said next year we're going to do Essence, and we applied, and we both got in. She found out 2 weeks prior to me. So imagine how I feel.
Wow.
Got together. She applies and she gets in, and then she finds out that they're on a town hall to discuss how everything's going to go. So I'm like, wow. I guess that's it. Keep in
Wow.
mind, I paid for my hotel in February. I applied in March. I still haven't heard nothing, and we're a month out. And so at this point, I'm like, well, shoot, I need to find something to do there that weekend, And I was like, I just want to be there in case they tell me the day before that somebody didn't show up, and I can be ready. And that was my mindset. I'm like, I'm just going to be there. I even emailed them and said, hey, I know I haven't heard from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be ready. I already have a hotel. I'm going to be there just in case. And I don't know if that even got to them or what, but I heard something 2 weeks before, and they said, you you can go and money's due now.
Wow.
um, that was an experience, but I think it just was a testament to why, again, Imani means faith, and you got to stay ready. And I'm so glad that we pulled it off. I'm thankful for my friends who were able to come and help me out, because it was insane, the amount of people. But it was a great experience. biggest event ever. So many supportive people, and by supportive, I don't just mean sales. That's that's great, but also like people are pouring into me. They're
Mm.
own businesses and they're like, you're doing amazing. Like we're praying for you, we're rooting for you. People who didn't even wear earrings or didn't have their ears pierced was like taking my information and it was like, I'm going to make sure I buy gifts for my friends for you. They're plugging me, they're putting me into keeping me in their radar.
Yeah.
So um, newsletter features have come from that, opportunities. The local news interviewed me there, and then I think they interviewed me either on Friday or Saturday. And I had groups of women come in the next day saying, "We saw you on the news and we just had to find you." And I was so
That's so
grateful because
amazing.
something happened with the blueprint there where they couldn't even see my number, my booth number. So I was,
Right.
saying my booth number, but it was hard for people to find. They still found me. So I was just so grateful, like, for that experience where the odds the local news would interview me, of all people, little old me. Um, and that, those people would get to see it and they would come out and support and buy stuff for not only themselves, but for friends and family. So I'm seeing orders coming from all over the US and it's just like, wow, because I'm here in Florida and I'm doing events on the East Coast, but, I'm getting, it was just a
So
blessing
we
because,
talked about friends, making friends, and just the marketplace, because a lot of things that keep us from doing and becoming and being who we are supposed to be is because we think that it's saturated or it's already been done and too many people are doing it. No one's going to notice me.
mm-hmm.
And you mentioned the fact of being able to even create a relationship with someone who is in the same space as you. But how, if this was, I don't know if you ever had to overcome the idea or thought of the market being saturated, or did you face any challenges or thoughts around that at any point as you were building your brand?
Yeah. I think I may be blessed in the sense that I there are other people, don't get me wrong, that are making 3D printed jewelry and amazing jewelry. But typically my events here and what I've seen, I don't have a lot of people making the 3D printed. So, but I've
Mhm.
had like even a market here that I do in Jacksonville, they specifically say on their website, we are not accepting any more jewelry vendors because
Mhm.
it's well known that it's very saturated. There's a lot of people making the jewelry, all kinds, especially you see a lot of clay jewelry now, a lot of things like that. There's the artisans that are making like the acrylic and the
Mhm.
metal and stuff. They're a little far few between, but most cases I go to events and there's not another 3D printed, solely 3D printed artist that I'm dealing with. So I always send an extra email or a DM and I'm like, hey, but I'm, 3D printing, or hey, this is a little different. But I will say for the people who they do see their product out there, and y'all may have heard this before, when you go down the bread aisle,
That's
there's
right.
there's so many other, ketchups and different things. There's always going to be other people, but there's never going to be another you.
That's
Um,
right.
there's people who want to buy specifically from you. You know, I will spend extra money with another single mom just because I'm like, girl, I get it.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna I'm gonna support this person, or like, so I don't think we should look at that. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a real thing, and you may find yourself in a market that you want to get in where it is saturated and you have to defend yourself. But don't be afraid to, and don't. I mean, like, I think it's worse when you don't try. It's just gonna nag at you. Um,
Mhm.
it's gonna nag at you. So like, don't be afraid to slide into DMs. It took me over a year to get in that current market that I was telling you about. Like I said, because they said no jury. I'm not sure they weren't even reading my stuff. I didn't know if they were reading my DMs or anything. But just try. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. So speaking of that, my follow-up would have been, so before we started talking, we talked a little bit about your personality, and you believe that you are an introvert. So as
Nobody
an introvert, huh?
that nobody believes me, but I am.
Okay. Well, so you've been able to master the art of networking.
Yeah.
So how is that? How are you able to network? And then even going back to social media, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that you'll DM somebody or reach out to someone.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for you? Or when do you is that something that you did to help grow your business, or when have you DM'd people and what type of businesses? Like, how has it been networking, and how did you get into a space to be comfortable to do that?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable.
Okay, that's a thank you for saying that. Okay.
It doesn't get easier, and I mean, if there was a camera on me, y'all would probably be dying because I'm half the time I'm pacing back and forth. I'm talking to
Yeah.
myself. I'm talking to my 5-year-old. Since she's been one, she knows the ins and out of the business. Because I'm like, girl, can you believe this? We
Yeah.
she's heard it all. I'm practicing my pitches to her. But I just feel like I lose more sleep and I get more anxious when I don't. So I'm like
Mm.
always just telling myself, what would happen if I don't? What would happen if I don't send these earrings to Pinky Cole? What would happen if I don't apply for Essence? What would happen if I don't let them know, hey, double check my application because these are 3D printed earrings and you may not have seen these before. Like, because I think like I told you with the Essence thing, the worst thing that I had to think about, and I think I got this from maybe an episode of This Is Us because I love them. When they,
I love that too.
I think what's the lady Randall's, why am I forgetting Randall's wife's name? I love her. She went to,
Yeah.
but she said they used to come up with something where they were like worst case scenario, and I told myself literally when I didn't hear from Essence, I was like worst case scenario, it's like 2 days before or a day before, and they say you're accepted, and I'm not ready. So I was just like, well, let me be ready. And when I tell you, they messaged me, and I was just like, oh shoot. I mean, I know I said it, but like, I'm not sure if but I had already been preparing, and it's like, obviously, I could have been more prepared if they gave me more notice, but had I not, kept making jewelry in expectation to be there, where what would have happened. So as far as networking and just putting yourself out there, just do it. Even if you're pacing, even if you have to ask a friend for help, or I still text my friend who I think she was a English major. She knows her where the punctuation stuff.
I know, girl.
I still send my friends, and now we got stuff like Chat GPT and everything to
Mhm.
double check. So I mean, there's too many tools. Like literally the worst they could do is leave you on read. We've all been left on read before. So I mean,
Yeah.
just do it. I do have a
Fact.
I do have an alter ego. I sometimes have to
Okay.
tell myself, all right, you're stepping into this when I have to get up and talk because, and I mean, maybe I do this in my regular life too, because I am really shy. And if I had really had the choice, I would love to stay just behind. But
Mhm.
I don't have enough money to pay people to speak for me yet. So I have to. And if I want to make money and pay these bills, I have to do it. So step out of it, create an alter ego if you
Mhm.
have to. Yeah.
I love that. And I looked it up. Her name is Beth for
Beth,
this.
Beth,
Yeah.
Beth.
So I will say this. I'll share candidly that prior to me creating the space that I'm in now, where I journeyed to figure out my passion, it was a lot of self work that I had to do to get here and to even create the pink elephant. That wasn't even something that was on my mind, or even I didn't even think that that was something that would come. And prior to me starting the work, I had such a huge issue with security. Like I'm a very cautious person in every area of my life. Whether it be like, I don't know if this might happen. I'm a what if person, right? And the best thing that I was working with a career coach at the time at my job, and she was like, Sinead, the best thing that you're gonna have the thing that you're gonna have to do is every time you run into a point where you want to start talking about everything bad, you have to ask yourself, what's the best thing that could happen
Mm-hmm.
to in order to get out of the space of all the negative thoughts, all the fears, all the worries. What's the best case scenario? What's the best thing that could happen to me by me calling this person?
Yeah.
Instead of going immediately to, oh, they're not going to know, they're not going to believe me, they're not going to answer, they're going to think that. But what if they don't? What is the best thing? And so I love that you talked about just the mindset shift that you have to have, and also understanding that if you don't champion yourself, who
Mm-hmm.
is? Who will? And I was watching a Cat Williams interview, which was so crazy, child. He said a whole lot of stuff, but the one thing that I enjoy, that I really, really took, and it hit me. I remember I was in Marshalls, I had it in my ears. He was talking about if you left this world, like if today was your last day here on earth, Are you going to be all right with it? Like, are you living like this is your last day? And I just felt like that's powerful because, you know, he was like, all right, at night, you get ready to go to sleep. Like, this could be it. This could be the last day. I might not make it to tomorrow. How do I feel about today?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if a lot of us could honestly say that we would be comfortable and confident in how much we betted on ourselves that day, you know. And so I don't want to leave here with that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I love that you said that. So I was getting ready. This is perfect because I was getting ready to ask you about what would you tell a woman who's afraid?
Can I say something real quick? Because I think it's really cool how we both use those same things. And you said, like, what's the best thing that can happen? And for me,
Mhm.
and it's funny because, and this reminds me of a relationship with another friend that's a business owner, because she's very, like, more of the cautious and more black and white. And I think I'm more of, like, we'll get there, we'll get it done, you know,
Yeah,
I how, you know, but we need each other. You know,
that's
we need
good.
one is like optimistic. I had to tell myself what's the worst that can happen, because I always think the highest, you know, and it's just
Mm.
I love that how it can work both ways, you know. So that
So
was really,
powerful,
and
and I love.
it's definitely a strength to have those things and to be calculated, because in my in my situations I find myself and I'm like, ooh, I definitely could have planned this better. But I'm
Mhm.
aligned with people, you know, who have strengths in those areas. So yeah.
That's so good because that was the one thing that I took away when she did my assessment and
Yeah.
she told me I had that issue. She was like, "But it's good and because in these scenarios you're prepared, you're ready." But you
Mhm.
know, the balance. And so I love that you found the friend that can help you balance out those parts of us and because I think in order to be successful, you do have to have that sweet spot.
Yeah.
You got to find a middle ground so that you can be able to do both pull in and then also be a little bit bold. So, what are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah. I'm honestly really looking forward to, and this is something I've done, but I feel like I have to give you the whole spiel to get. But
Good.
my goal for this year is to hire people. I want to hire 2 women to join my team and grow this out. And I have hired in the past, but I don't know if it counts because I was fortunate enough where a friend's little sister had been watching me and she came to me and asked to be a part, and she was amazing. She's focusing on school now, so I no longer have her, but she was very instrumental in me getting to where I am and getting my processes, because again, she was honestly way before her time. The girl is amazing, so mature. She was in college, but she was very black and white. So I'm like, I want to do this, and she was like, okay, how? And
Yeah.
so forcing me to take my ideas and really structure it and make systems and different things. And I feel like I am at a good point that I want to bring in people, and I want to I want to scale. You know, there's so much that I want to do, and sometimes when you are in your business, you can't work on your business, and
Hmm.
there's so many more opportunities that I'm getting. The end of last year, I had the opportunity to speak with girls at the school, and I said it once on a live, and I haven't repeated it because I'm terrified. But I really want to create a place for people to dream one day, and I feel like I spoke to it earlier how when I said I didn't have anyone, I didn't see how people were making things and starting businesses. Um, I want to create that for people. I want to give kids, the youth, maybe even adults, like a space where they have a sewing machine, they have a 3D printer, they have the computers, and they can just create something. And I show them how to make it into a business. But they have that real time. They can be creative and do it. And I got the opportunity to speak with these girls, and they were high schoolers, and I was just like, man, I didn't go seek that opportunity. Someone found me, and I was just like, man, I don't know. Like I told you again, I think I'm the one that has to learn the hard way because I'm running from that. I could have put myself in those situations, but it had to come to me first, right?
Hmm.
So I got another opportunity coming up. I'm like, all right, I need to hire people to make sure that I can still keep doing the markets, but I can also get to that bigger level goal. So
Right.
um, I want people that are passionate about just building up women empowerment, and we just grow together and we create this thing. But so that's one of my big goals this year is definitely hiring, growing the team, of course, returning to essence and doing it bigger, bigger and better, and yeah, it's some other things, some other surprises in there for sure. But top goal, hiring.
I love it. And guys, don't worry. I'm gonna show you some clips of her at Essence because I was like, I mean, I'm sitting at home with my phone, like, I mean, I'm in awe. Like, I'm like literally watching you in Essence, and I felt like I was there. I was just like, it was such I mean, amazing, amazing. And you, even the people you had, I know it's not just you, I know it's a team of people, but you had the right people to help create the vision. And it was just beautiful. It was so beautiful. So I can't wait to share that with you guys, because definitely inspirational, super inspirational. I was like, you know what? I need to be at Essence Festival. I'm like, I mean, I need to experience the room.
Yes, you go this year, July
I,
1st. Mark it off.
oh my goodness. And you know what? I want, the one thing I know I'm gonna take from this interview is the boldness. Like, you know, I think because you mentioned, because if we allow our personalities, our natural innate selves to stand in the way of what we can do, we might not get as far as we want to get, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm working to be more bold and assertive about who I am and what I do and what I provide. I think a lot of us, we're so modest, right? Because we're not
yeah,
used to bragging on ourselves. We're not used to elevating ourselves. When I walk into a room, I'm going to talk to you about you. That's my natural personality. I like to interview people. Like, that's my favorite thing to do.
you're really good at it.
Thank you. And so it's like, I want to talk about you, but if I don't ever talk about me, I'm not going to propel myself or elevate myself or even just share what it is that I do. And so the thing that I'm learning, and I'm learning from you in this moment, is you have to be able to speak on who you are. And it's so nice to be able to hear you talk about the things that you've been able to do, because the one thing I want to make sure our audience understands is Breonna started this brand in her business as a solo person. Okay. Like, this can be done. And now she's at a point where she wants to hire help. I love that you said that, because I do believe this year, where God is taking us and leading us to, it's going to require a team. It's going to
Yeah.
require a team. So about your earrings. So, um, I know you said you've been working on the hoops, and I know you mentioned the bangles.
Mhm.
What other what products are available, and do you have any latest colors that you've created? Anything that you might want everybody to know about the jewelry?
Dude, so I want to share. I'm really excited. We launched this the end of last year, the minis.
Oh, those are so
Um,
cute.
these were a hit, and it's so funny to me because before these were my small pair. You know, I like big earrings, so this
Yeah,
was small. But I decided to go a little smaller, so I got the minis, and as you can see the comparison, and then I'll show you the large. This is our best selling color, by the way, the coffee color.
I love that.
But yeah, these minis have been going off the shelf, and I have them in 4 colors right now. But I am about to launch them in a new color. So this new color was actually a mistake. I ordered the filament, but I love it. I call it smoke.
Ooh, yeah, that is gorgeous.
Okay, so these are the new suits. So I have it in the new suit, and I do have it in the 90 millimeter hoop, which is this is the big hoop.
Yeah,
I'm gonna introduce it in this size and the minis this quarter, but really excited about that. Like super excited about the minis. I didn't think I was gonna be that excited about it, but I'm so excited to see how people style those. If they're gonna stack them, how they're gonna wear them,
yeah,
and the new colors that I have coming up. So yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna be here. A lot of new things coming. So.
I'm here for it. So in terms of like price wise, where do your earrings start? Like, what's the starting point to the maybe the higher point for your earrings?
Yeah. So my earrings range from like 20 to 40. So the smaller hoops being $20, these going up to 30, and then the big ones going up to 40. And then our new shoes, I love these because if you can see, you wear these outside, every time you turn, it's like you get a different girl.
Oh, so cute.
But these are 40, the dangly earrings. So yeah, we're affordable,
Yes.
unique pieces. So yeah.
Okay. And that's another thing too, because I think like women, sometimes we feel like we gotta spend a whole bunch, or sometimes maybe we don't even spend enough, right? And you know, it's affordable. It's okay. Like, you
Yeah.
can treat yourself to a pair of earrings. Like, you can do that. It's going to be all right. because we go to Starbucks, we go to Target. I went in Target the other day. I picked up miscellaneous items. I went to Marshalls. I got a candle. Like, you know, so I want us to get in a space and be in a mindset that whatever I'm buying for myself is adding something for me. Like it's for me. It sparked something in me. It triggered me to feel all the feels. And that's me now. When I purchase anything, I'm always thinking about how does it make me feel? Like
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and when you lead from that space, like the cost of things they don't matter as much
Yeah.
because you're doing it and you're purposeful when you buy it. And so I want women, to feel like empowered to spend money on themselves and also understand that the uniqueness of a piece is really truly the value. Like I'm always going to try to look for the unique piece that's going to make me feel like, that's going to speak to my personality and my style. So I think that's super dope that you have something that's affordable for all people. I'm really really excited about the minis. I want to try those on myself.
Yes.
So I can't wait to get those. So the question that I have for you. So I mentioned that. So as the Pink Elephant brand, my brand is a brand that it really truly is a brand that wants to help women embrace who they are, take up space in this world, embrace their uniqueness. There is no such thing as fitting in. You are one of one. Like you are one of one. There is no other Breonna. There
Yeah.
is no other Imani Cowrie, and you've demonstrated that today. Even your idea of 3D printed earrings, which I feel like is phenomenal and so just like beyond what anyone would think of. And when I think about being a pink elephant, I've been a pink elephant many, many times in my life, and I'm sure you have too. I've been the only black girl. I've been the youngest black girl. I've been the youngest person in the room. I've been the only woman in the room. And a lot of times we allow those environments and those experiences to shrink us or make us feel like we're inferior, or we want to hide behind the scenes. But as a pink elephant, you embrace all the things that make you unique. You
Hmm.
embrace your creativity, you embrace the way you look, you embrace your hair, you embrace your body, you embrace your voice, and you use that to become the best version of yourself, authentic and true. So you take up space, right? And so I just wanted to ask you, in your own thoughts, like how are you taking up space and being a pink elephant in your life and the way you go about your business and your brand?
Yeah, I love that, and I love this metaphor for the pink elephant. It's definitely been a journey. Like I think my art mirrors like my self journey, like self discovery, just all of the things that I think of myself and things that happen to me and things experiences that I have and just reflecting on it and seeing like how it all comes together. I think, it's easy to say like titles and stuff like, I was in the military or, education and different things, but there's so much more to me, being a mom. I have multiple sclerosis, so things like that. But I do like to think of all of those things and just think how it makes me different,
Mhm.
And I think they all I like to think of how each has played a role in where I'm at today, And so um I guess where am I trying to go with that? uh, More so just like don't be afraid to embrace every season of your life and just reflect on how it's made you you. It's not you, like that moment or that career or that disease doesn't define you, but it has a role in who you are. So like just
Mhm.
reflecting on how it has given you certain traits to make you feel most you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's so powerful. Because what I hear you say is that, a lot of times we think things are happening to us,
Hmm.
but they're happening for us. Because
Yes.
had we not had those experiences, if we had not been a single parent or we had not, experienced death in our families, things like that, we would not be who we are. And when we talk about that uniqueness, no one
Hmm.
has experienced what you've experienced in your life. And so therefore your story and your art, even through your jewelry and how you create, that story, it all kind of goes into who what your brand is, your creativity. And so when
Mhm.
we put on these earrings, we're putting on Bree's story. You know what I mean? We put on Brianna's, I'm sorry. We put on Brianna's story. And I just think that's so powerful to be able to connect with the creative
Yeah.
in that way.
Mhm.
And so this is what I like to do towards the end of my interviews. And this might be a little bit uncomfortable for some. I know it would be for me because I'm growing into it, but I want to take the opportunity to affirm you because every time I choose to speak to someone, I am coming from a space of like I said, my platform is I really want women to feel empowered. I want them, and not even just because I know we probably hear the word empowered all the time. So I really want to break that down for a second. I want someone to see themselves in your story, in my story, be able to connect where they can, and also realize like we're women who are all just trying to figure it out, you know,
Mhm.
and we're living our lives here. Things are a struggle. We go through so many things. We wear different hats. You're a business owner, you're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a friend, it's so
Mhm.
many layers to who we are as women. And I want women to see that though all these things may be true, it still does not define you. You can define and write your own story. And
Yeah.
so, I just think that so what I want to affirm you because I feel like you are literally showing us what it means to believe in yourself. You are creating a life that a lot of us want and we're afraid to do it. And even though you did say you're afraid, you are still moving, even being afraid. You're afraid, but you're doing it anyway. And not only that, I feel like you are being true to who you are. You found your space, you've owned your space, you're taking up space, and you're not trying to be anyone but yourself. And I think it's so remarkable and so beautiful to see that journey that you've had and you've experienced it. And though we don't know all the things that you've experienced, and even like you said, just even from health wise and being a mom, because those it'd be some nights where it get hard. You'd be like, I don't know,
Yeah.
and we don't know those things, but yet you still been able to move through those things with grace. And so I just want you to know that you are seen. I see you, others are seeing you, the right people are coming to connect with you. Your path is going to be it's going to be its own. It's going to be its own journey, but I do believe like God is going to take you to the level in which that you didn't even think that you would go to. I mean, he's done it so far, and I'm just excited about the way that you're going to help move other women to the spaces that they want to be in. Because I do believe that's what it's all about. So I thank you for creating a platform that women can feel celebrated. Thank you for creating a platform where women can feel seen. Thank you for allowing us to feel beautiful and create our own style. And I just think that it's just so important that I give you that today because it's just such a blessing. So thank you so, so much.
Thank
Before we go,
you.
and before we go, I want you to tell everybody how they can follow you on social media and then also your website to um to find your earrings and anything else you want the audience to know.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much again. Like I said, Shanae you're absolutely awesome. I'm honored to be on your platform and I love what you're creating. So, but everyone, you can find me at Imani Cowrie on all platforms, and that's IMANICOWRIE. ImaniCowrie.com, at Imani Cowrie on literally everything. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest. I'm trying to do better. Um, we're everywhere. So thank you so much. If you know anybody who's interested in joining the team, definitely send me a message. You can find my contact information on the website, or you can message me on Instagram, and I can get all of that information to you. But yes, thank you again, Shanae. This has been absolutely wonderful.
So I with that, guys, I hope you got a lot because I got a lot. I hope you have a pen and a piece of paper to take some notes and go back to it and be inspired. But thank you so much for joining us. This is the Pink Elephant Podcast. Follow me at the Pink Elephant _ by Shanae on Instagram and TikTok. And on Facebook, you can find me at Shanae Pringle. So we will talk to you later. Bye.